Hey everybody, welcome to a Tatter-a-fact here at the Girlz Inc. studio in Las Vegas. And we're a little crazy today because I got the Girlz Inc. girls here. Well, two of them, Amy and Ren. Yes. This is the last podcast of 2023. So keeping with tradition, our last podcast needs to be the artists, us artists. Yeah. So, and we're just missing Sophia. She had a client. She couldn't be here. So it's all right. It's us three, but we miss her. We miss you, Sophia. Okay. So yay. So I thought we have lots of different things we could talk about, bounce around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do you want to start with, Ren? Do you want to start with how the industry has changed in the last couple of years? How, you know it. So how long you've been doing PMU for 5 years?
Since 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
And Amy, you're 3 years in now.
Yeah.
So as you see it, your experience, Ren, I mean, I'm sure I have my own perspective. You know, I've been in the industry longer. I've seen lots of changes over the last years. Lots and lots and lots and lots. And so you haven't seen as many changes at 5 years in. So what stands out to you that you've seen change in the last couple of years?
I feel like probably one of the bigger things that I have seen is that people are really starting to move to machine for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've also seen some trends come and go. Some that I'm not really too in favor for, and some that I think could be pretty cool.
So what trends are you not in favor of?
I'm not in favor of the cheek blushing.
Yeah. So why? Is it because you worry? Is it just you don't like how it looks, or are you worried about how it ages?
It looks gorgeous when it first come out.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not something that's really a proven concept yet until you see how it looks 5 or 10 years down the line. Yeah. And I feel like it's trending too fast.
I've seen blushes 5, 6, 7, 8 years down the line. Oh my gosh. Okay. So yes, because, I'm pushing 21 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started, they were way back then, the ladies that were raising me, they were 10, 15, 20 years older than me. I was a baby in the industry. That generation, so all through the 80s and the 90s, they were doing blush, eyeshadow. They were doing that. It was really, really, really popular, and it was standard to do it. Everybody was doing it here in the United States anyway. And then I came into PMU in like 1999, 2000, I got licensed. I think it was September of 2000 is when I got my license. So I actually started training in 2019. No, I'm sorry. 1999.
Yeah.
That sounds crazy to say 1999. Isn't there a song by Prince like 1999?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, that's when I started my apprenticeship for permanent makeup. And then I got licensed in 2000. So anyway, when I entered in 2000, I started going to the SPCP conferences and watching lectures. And there were lectures on how to do the blush, the eyeshadow. Yeah. So it was, but by that point, enough of the artists from that era had seen it age not good.
Okay.
And so there was some still doing it, promoting, and then there was some that did not like it anymore, didn't promote it anymore, didn't like how it aged. So, and my mentor from way back then was one of them that saw bad aging with the blush and the eyeshadow and kind of drilled it in my head. Don't do it. Just, don't do those two procedures. Some things shouldn't be replicated,
right.
Tattoo wise, like some procedures, some things should stay topical.
So when you were at the conferences and you saw those, what kind of liners or shaders were they using?
Well, keep in mind back then, everybody was using, mostly 3 and 5 liners. Okay. Those were the two most popular needles in the industry.
I can imagine.
back then, 3 round liners, 5 round liners. I never even heard of another liner, another type of needle until I got into my body tattoo apprenticeship.
Right.
That's all I was taught was a 3 liner and a 5 liner. Singles really weren't popular. And of course, shaders were not, mags were not in PMU, not at that time. So yeah, the needle, and keep in mind, most of the industry in the United States, I'm not sure about other countries, but I would say 80% of the industry, if not more, during the 90s and maybe my first 10 years were using the digital machines that cost 20 grand. Yeah, needles were $25 a pop. They were using all these digital machines that, didn't have a lot of power, and they were really, promoted to our industry for women. And I'm just really grateful that I never really got hooked on one. I got into body tattooing early enough, close to when I was starting PMU, that I got on regular body tattoo machines and needles. And so I didn't get stuck in a box, but I'm wondering, what do you think? So I'm wondering if now, if the other side of that argument, because we saw bad blush maybe 2 weeks ago, we got an email on it, and it was awful. This client, it's all healed in, and it is absolutely hideous. It was so bad. It was so disturbing. And she's not in the state, so she was looking who we could refer for removal. She came across our site that we do removal. And but on the other side of that argument, I'm wondering, because there are people doing blush now. So if they were in on this conversation, because I do like having conversations with people that I might disagree with, because sometimes hearing their side or why they disagree, it opens my mind up to, I didn't think about that. Right. Okay, you got a point. It might not change my mind, but at least now I develop empathy and I understand why they feel like that. So if one of the new artists, modern artists of today that did blush was sitting here, she might say to you, or me, okay, that was the 90s and the 2000s. We're 2023. We're much more skilled. We're it's much more talent driven, and we've learned a lot. We've evolved the techniques, the skills, it's all evolved. So we're putting it in different, we're using different needles. So it's not, you can't compare that. So, and that conversation might take place. Right. So how do you feel about that?
It's still personally not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea. And that's okay. But you're not like a hater. You're not one of these people. Like if you saw someone doing blush, like on a Facebook page, you wouldn't go in behind them and drill them a new asshole because they do blush. You're not one of those.
No.
Yeah, no. Me neither.
No, people are going to do what they're going to do, and their clientele is going to go for them if they like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's within me and what I would like to do and what I would like to see 5 years down the line for myself.
Yeah. I think for me, I never did blush. Like I said, early on in my career, my mentor just kind of steered me away from it, and I always kind of kept that guidance.
Right.
But if I were to do it, because there's always a better way to do something and a not so great way to do something, right? So if I were to do it, obviously you have to use lip pigments, right? I would definitely use an inorganic, like Li's Aqualine, an inorganic that's matte and muted, and it's going to fade. It's going to leave. It's going to fade the skin, right? That would be a smart, strategic way to do it if you're going to do blush.
Right.
Rather than using an organic that's brighter, and that shit ain't going away. Yeah.
It would take a long time for that to go
Yeah.
away.
You might have to talk up a little bit.
It would have to be a long time for that pigment to go away.
Yeah.
If they used anything other than an inorganic.
Yeah, it would take a really long time. Yeah, really long time. What do you think, Amy? Amy, are you here?
Yes.
Hi, Amy.
I have literally never seen this blush thing. So now I'm going to have to go home and
seen it, so now you're going to go.
I have no idea. Personally, I don't think that I would be a fan of it, like getting it or wanting to do it. Because
well, it's a swish. You take a brush, you dab it, and swish.
Yeah, like that's just crazy.
It's like done in a nanosecond.
Like I'm curious on how they like map it and where they figure out where that's gonna go, right?
Yeah,
because some girls wear blush differently, just like eyebrows or eyeliner.
Well, how would you map? That's an interesting
so are you
point.
Gonna, like we're gonna
you'd probably outline it. You'd probably draw it on.
I mean, I'm really curious now, so I'm totally gonna look it up.
Well, that's a really good question. So maybe you would like draw it on with like a brow pencil, or like I use markers for eyeliner design. So maybe like a marker, you'd outline it.
Yeah. But I mean, when I put blush on, I'm like blending it in, and doing some contour. So I'm just mind boggled.
You do all that, you blend and contour, and it's gonna be
or else it's just too pink.
Yeah, I'm literally this dab, wish, dab, whoosh. That's me. wherever the powder may fall. That's
right.
But mine's like super muted. It's not like a pink or a rose. It's almost like a mauvey brown. It just gives me like a little, gives my my cheeks a little, little meow. Yeah. Yeah. Eyeshadow is kind of the same thing. It's the same thing. It's a different area, of course, but it's kind of in that same category of controversial procedures. Mm-hmm. And these controversial procedures, boy, it really stirs up a ruckus, doesn't it, in our industry? Like those that do it are so defensive of it and stand behind it. But I get why, because some that are against it are so out there against it and really come at them, come after them. And, so you have that in the industry where, that causes interesting conversations, I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm. I will say, last year, about 3 months before I officially packed all my stuff, came down here to Girlz Inc., I actually had a consult with somebody who had a purple cut crease tattooed on her, and she needed to get it to remove. And she was like the super cute.
What's a purple cut crease? What's that?
So a cut crease is, it's kind of more of a modern type of eyeshadow where you'll do your makeup kind of like how I am with mine, except mine is a little bit more blurred, but you have kind of like a set color in the front and you cut it to where the crease of your eye is.
I know.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
But she didn't have any color underneath it. So it was just her regular eyelid. And then she had this like bright purple.
Like line. So it wasn't blended and whipped.
You can tell it was whip shading. It was single needle. I have no idea, but what they did towards the bottom, if they ended up switching it up, but she had a wing that came out at about right here towards the tail of her eyebrow.
Wow.
And I looked at that and I had no idea what even to do with it. I was so uncomfortable even touching that part of the skin, because that was even before I did eyeliner.
Yeah.
Right. And so I just have never had any experience on that type of skin. And I just went and referred her over to somebody I knew who does laser in town. And I said, maybe they can pull that pigment for you, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, she was a really young girl too. And so it was a trend.
It was a trend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that, man. I've never really been into trends. I kind of stay with more the fundamentals, the things that I know that are going to, heal well and age well. I'm about, I don't know. I'm just about the aging process. Really, I really, really, really consider that and look at that, how is it going to age? I think one trend that, because I'm I'm not like dead set against cheek. I guess if they're using an inorganic and it will leave, and they're tattooing it like more superficial and it will leave the skin in a year or two, then I don't know. I don't know enough about it, I guess, to form an opinion if it's done that way. Right. My opinion on cheek blush is based more on how it was done, more old school, with or using inorganics that don't leave, because our face falls. You can end up with blush down on your chin, on the sides of so it has to be done like super smart. So I'm open to learning more about it, and does it fade and things like that. Eyeshadow, I'm not really sure about that either. I've never really done it. All I've seen is really bad blue, bright green, horribly done eyeshadow. I haven't seen pretty eyeshadow that fades pretty. I just haven't seen it or enough of it to really form an opinion, like a hard stand on it. So I just don't do it. But what I do stand kind of hard on is the white eyeliner, that strip of white that they put above the eyeliner.
I was just about to ask you about that.
No, I have a hard line on that, and like I said, I'm kind of, look, whatever you want to do as an artist, do. But with that said, there's consequences when you're tattooing things that you don't fully understand, right? Yeah. And so I fully understand that white strip. It's all titanium. And I have tried to tattoo over or remove hundreds of them in my 20-year career. So I've seen not just 10, not just 20, hundreds in my 20-year career. And every client that I've dealt with that has that white strip, it's no longer white, it's changed color, and that client hates it.
And it's spread.
And it spreads. That client hates it. And what I learned the hard way is, you think like in body tattooing, black covers all. That's kind of our philosophy. Black covers all. Well, black does not cover that titanium well at all. Sometimes it will heal like a light gray or titanium's a bitch, man. The tattoo over. So we do, lift is the best approach, I think, now, trying everything to remove that white. Like, I don't even try to tattoo over it anymore. And I'm a packer. I can pack in black. And it's extremely challenging and difficult and not successful a lot of the time. So, and then when the black fades, you're just stuck with that it's just not right. It just doesn't look right anyway. It doesn't really look white. And I guess it depends on too, is it a tiny sliver of a little strip? Or is it like a thicker, like I've seen it all. I've seen some thick strip. Yeah, right. And so that's something that I think should be left to topical makeup. It just doesn't translate well into tattooed makeup. So yeah, you've dealt with those white strips, haven't you, Amy?
Yeah, a lot of eyeliner that wants, like old eyeliner where they want me to rework it, or we've had that white in there. We just avoid the white area.
Yeah, you just avoid it.
Yeah, and then they end up with eyeliner. I mean, that they wanted something different in their head, but they don't understand that they can't. We can't go over that.
We can't cover up the white.
And it's not even white at that point. Like I've seen it. It's like kind of like a yellowy.
Yeah,
color.
It absolutely changes color.
Yeah,
even like a high quality. Yeah, it changes color. It's not white anymore. It becomes yellowy or, like sometimes even pinky yellow. It just changes color, and it gets.
I've seen it where it's almost looks like like a almost white stripe and then like a yellow stripe in there too, which is really scary when you're trying to do eyeliner with that stuff above it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I just and I get asked for it every now and then, and I haven't been asked for it in a long time, but people used to ask me. I'm like, no, don't do that. I don't do that at all. It doesn't age well, and you really shouldn't let anybody else do that to you. It's not gonna look good at all.
It does look pretty topical. Sometimes it helps to open the eye, but tattoo wise.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. Topically, I've seen it look really cool.
Yeah.
But and like I said, it can look good new if done super skillfully by a PMU artist, but it's the aging.
Right.
It doesn't age well. And like I said, almost every single client that I've dealt with that has the white, they ended up not liking it and wishing they didn't have it. So I don't want to put, why put something on somebody that could put them in that position somewhere down the road. That's why I stopped doing wings on young girls.
Yeah.
I mean, 20 years ago, I was doing wings on everybody.
Right.
They could be 20. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. I mean, I had fun doing wings. And then someone that I did a wing on, she came in at like 30, like 10 years later. And she wanted the wings removed. And she's like, yeah, I wish I'd never done them. And I'm like, wow. It's like, yeah, at some point, I mean, they're going to grow into maybe a mom or my tastes certainly change. I mean,
for sure.
I mean, I dress way better now than I did 20 years ago, but our tastes change.
Yeah,
Do you know?
sure.
Our hairstyle, we change our hairstyles. We move around our living room furniture,
right?
We change. Yeah. So why wouldn't our style and makeup change? And as a young PMU artist, I never considered that. To be very honest, I just never considered that.
Right.
And probably about 10 years into my career, I started considering that. Like, are you going to want this in 10 years? Because some things last, especially if you're doing carbon, or you're using, organic. So, yeah, I think that's our responsibility and our job.
Oh, absolutely.
To not just think about how it's going to look, fresh, new, but how is it going to look 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and ask questions.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Just like with eyeliner. Everybody wants a wing. Most people can't have it.
Most people can't have it. Yeah.